What's going on, athletes? Welcome back to another week in review. For those of you who do not know, we are the Wilson brothers, and this is just a documentation of our process working through school, working through other adversities and other things, just following our path until we eventually open up our own gym, which, if you couldn't tell, today we are quite sore. So we'll get into that and lots more. Let's get to it.
All right, so first thing first, we need to hit up what we did in school this week. This was week 2, wasn't too bad. Kinesiology classes, we said last week, we're kind of getting jumbled, being that they're all basically the same. I think we've got a good handle on it now. We're starting to differentiate which class is which. In one of our kinesiology classes, we're actually talking about marketing and management and basically owning a business as a gym. So that's really cool. We're getting into that. That's something we like. Last week specifically, we talked about different structures of different types of gyms, whether they're for-profit and not-for-profit, community-led or small business type deal, that kind of stuff. So that was interesting to get into some of the structural and marketing scenarios with that. Some of our other classes, we're talking more about, we hit up on stretching a little bit. We're kind of going back and hitting up on some of the reviews, some of the physiological stuff with the different energy sources at different times within the first 1 to 10 seconds you're using whatever, within the first 10 to 30 seconds something else, and after 3 minutes you're using. So yeah, we're getting into all that, which is all basically review. If you guys want to know any more about that, hit us up in the comments and we'll break it down for you, no problem. But yeah, so we're getting into that and moving and grooving a little bit. We got an exam or two on the horizon, but nothing too bad right now.
Yet.
Honestly, been all right, and we're excited. The big thing is with COVID, we're actually getting ready to look into internships for the fall semester. We have to get an interview process done, put in an application for all these places, but it's very difficult because for us, we're looking to go to a gym that was brought up from the ground because we have a fair amount of personal training background, and so we could always use more on that. But really the whole point of the internship for us was to find a small business and pick the fella or gal's brain on how they brought that up from the ground. We want to learn the business side of it is what we're getting at. But that's very difficult because UND is so strict on the mask policy, and a lot of gyms have the policy of once you're working out, you can take the mask off, and that doesn't coincide with the mask policy at UND. Therefore, we're not allowed to go to places like that. And a lot of places that were used for internships in the past did not meet the standards that they have set now. So that's becoming an issue. A lot of people are going online. So we're dealing with that, to say the least. Yeah. But after that, let's get to social media a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, so social media still just rolling right along, as you couldn't tell with this, obviously getting this out there at our new time on Saturday. But everything else, we're still doing our best to kind of balance it out with school. Obviously, that's going to be our priority no matter what. But we are still getting other content throughout the week. And like we got into a little bit in our last week in review, we're going to try and do a little bit more as far as getting content that's related to what we're actually talking about at the moment. So if you follow along with that, then you'll get a general idea. Now, we're not going to get too terribly into a lot of the specifics necessarily. And obviously there's only so much you can put in a post or two, but we're not gonna, so with all of that, you can kind of tell where we're at, how we're moving through certain classes and things. But the other big thing is through our own research, we kind of came across, this gets into why we're super sore today, but we came across this company that we actually really like as far as supplementation goes. A lot of the times as far as supplements go, and we've had talks about this, especially if they're kind of more in the mainstream, things you can pick up at GNC and things like that. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that make it through that really don't do any good for you, as far as like what ingredients are actually being put in and things like that. So if we're being honest, have very limited knowledge on a lot of this, but even our limited knowledge, we can go and look at some things and look at like creatine, for example.
Yeah.
There are like 9 different types of creatine, and you only actually want one of those types. The rest of them
don't really do much.
Do nothing for your body. Yeah. So even just our limited knowledge, we can go and look at something and be like, well, you're kind of wasting your money on that.
Right.
So that was one big thing that kind of got us interested in this. Is a very small company. This guy does it all and kind of contracts it out and whatnot. But basically, through our research, we finally decided to pull the trigger on it and started using it. And let us tell you.
Yes. So, in case you guys are curious, we've done a few pre-workouts in the past, but for the most part, we don't use them just because, going back to that, at the end of the day, a lot of these companies are companies, and they're there to market a brand, and they're there to make money. And so there might be a certain ingredient that's very expensive to make. For an example, I guess you could say, would be sometimes you need to chemically bind two chemicals together to create a certain thing. And instead of doing that, a lot of companies will take these two and just mix them and create a blend without chemically binding them, which is very expensive. That's just one example of how the marketing affects the actual product. Unfortunately, that's pretty prevalent throughout most brands. We found one that we don't believe does that to that degree. They might do it to a certain degree, but it's fairly good. Anyway, that's enough gibba-gabbing. This is what it is. It is called Gorilla Mode, and it's their pre-workout. You guys have probably heard about this before. We gave it a go for the first time this week, and we'll kind of give you a little bit of a review about it. Basically, it gives you an insane pump. So if you like looking at yourself in the mirror, that's pretty good. And a lot of times, for me personally, and he can tell you his own story, but for a pre-workout, I don't like the pre-workout that gives you those tinglies in the hand and the face, and you sit there and you just feel itchy the whole time. Can't stand that. This doesn't have that in there, so you don't have to worry about that, and it gives you that hyper focus that keeps you concentrated during the workout. It's super nice.
Yeah, and a lot of other pre-workouts, they kind of rely on, obviously we're pretty big into our caffeine, but a lot of times they'll rely almost too heavily on the caffeine, and then like we've taken some before where it just gave us headaches, made us feel sick the rest of the day. Just honestly awful for us, because they're just throwing far too much caffeine in with all these other things, and you're getting that all at once. So that's another thing we really like about it. So basically the way I've been describing it is it makes you feel like how you typically would on your best day.
Yeah.
So it takes any day that you're going into the gym, even if it's, you're tired, it's kind of been a crappy day and whatnot, you go in and you're like, all right, I feel good now. I feel ready to go. And yeah, we've been, as far as like during actual sets, fatigue isn't setting in as much, can push to those higher reps and things like that. And for the first week that we've been using it, have really, really enjoyed it. Super high praise about it. And obviously, we're quite sore.
We're very sore. We did leg day probably
Wednesday. It was Wednesday.
4 days ago now. Yeah. Still, I mean, and we could go into that. That's just DOMS, your delayed onset muscle fatigue and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We can go into that, but yeah, it was bad. It's still pretty bad.
But honestly, it's doing its job.
Yeah.
So super happy about that.
Right. It takes the workout to the next level, and eventually the body will get used to that, and we won't be as sore all the time coming out of the gym. But it's, for the most part, I think we've been going to the gym fairly regularly. We hit a point where our workouts kind of plateaued. Don't get me wrong, we were still increasing numbers and stuff like that. But this definitely pushed it to that next realm. So if you guys are at a point where you've been working out and you're kind of getting stagnant, or you might find that you're right on the cusp of hitting that plateau and you want to try something new, this is a good one. We're not sponsored by Gorilla Mode or anything like that. We just found it, and we really enjoy it, and we think maybe you guys will too. So if you want to give it a go, head on over to Gorilla Mode, give it a go.
So yeah, that's just our quick little review on that. But yeah, that's
why we're so sore. Yeah.
That's really been our week with school, social media, and then just getting sore as all get up.
Yep.
So, with that, you guys, if you would like to know anything else as far as, honestly, anything like, if you want to talk more about supplements, we're all about it. If you want to talk more about anything related
physiological
to fitness,
side of fitness,
fatigue, any of that.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff. We're all about you.
Yep.
But with that, you guys, hit us up in the comments. Let us know anything you'd like to hear from us, see from us in the future. With that, have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
We're recording now, so I guess these are bloopers. But basically, you're going to wake up, swing the legs out, and give a bunch of old man grunts and groans because your legs hurt so much. Yeah, one of those. Yeah, okay. Alright. Yeah. You're a beautiful man. Too fat to survive.
Sorry, we're coming out.
Yeah, kind of one of these.
Just kind of look at each other and go,
Yeah.
are you? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. One of those. No putts. Go away. Go away. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. Out.
Come on.
Holy crap.
I don't want to get up.
It hurts to get up. I know these crutches were kind of a joke, but I'm totally gonna use it to get up.
These dang quads of mine.
Damn it. I don't know if this is gonna work. I have to activate to get to a certain point. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, no, it 100%. 100% is the quads.